Good morning.
Good morning.
So, what is this chapter, like 4?
Yeah.
I'm going to try to bail right into it and not
No, you can talk
stir the
about whatever
pot.
you
I
want.
don't want to, piss people off early in the morning. So, today we're going to talk about reactive, aggressive dogs. I don't know that if you look those up, I don't know if those two would be exactly the same, you know. I think sometimes, for me, and like I said, we might ought to look it up, unless you know. What's the difference between reactive and aggressive?
Well, I'll look up my definition or what.
Well, yours, it would be somebody's, you know.
I mean, that's like a loaded question. There's so many forms of reactivity, and sometimes there's reactivity and aggression.
Well, but for me,
you can have reactivity without aggression.
Sure, and that's what I'm saying. We have so many people who, and this is
reactivity
about
could be I'm excited about squirrels. It's just not serious, you know.
And that's what I try to communicate with people, and people have a really hard time with it. So, we're talking humans and animals and both here, right?
Yeah.
So let's say Brett looks at something.
Wait, no, we're not talking about humans.
We are human and animal or both.
Yeah, I'm gonna die.
So how we get a reactive dog to be an aggressive dog? Okay, you follow me?
Yeah.
Or are you looking up definitions? Somebody could just tell us real quick. What's the difference between reactive and aggressive? Reactive is when you react to something, and aggressive is when you want to bite something or fight, I think. I could be wrong, but that's what I would see it as. But for me, whenever you have let's say a reactive dog.
Yeah, an aggressive dog has intent on causing harm.
Yeah, and a reactive is just reacting to a flight thing normally for me, right? A squirrel runs by, or a skateboard, or another dog, or a person, you know.
Can I interrupt something for a second?
Of course. I could not imagine doing this without it.
You know how much it hurts people for a trainer to say out loud, your dog has intent to harm?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Like, that doesn't mean your dog is doomed. It doesn't mean your dog is terrible, bad,
it means you need
good.
help. You need help from someone who knows and understands it.
If possible, I'm trying to word this nicely. If possibly you've had such good dogs your whole life, or been around such good dogs your whole life, that you don't believe a dog would ever have intent to harm, they do.
They do. A lot of dogs do. And
most of them humans have led them to that.
For sure.
Way most of them, like 99.9999.
And that's what I was just going to say, is whenever we get a reactive dog, for me, I'm trying to think of a city situation, you know. So, let's say you're walking down the street with your normal everyday dog, and he's doing really well, and a skateboard goes by, a kid on a skateboard, and the dog jumps at it, and you jerk him back. You're starting, if you're not careful, you're gearing yourself up to make a reactive dog an aggressive dog.
A tight leash when a dog is having
because
a reaction.
What happens is the first time you do that, let's say you have a harness on your dog or a flat collar, and you get your dog back and the skateboard's gone, and then you're okay. So tomorrow you do it, the exact same thing happens. The skateboard goes by and your dog's lunging, and you're like, oh, I'm going to fix this. So you go get a prong collar. That's what most people get. A prong collar, if they get anything. Some of them just go a different direction so they don't beat the kid on a skateboard at the same time in the same place every day. But if they're going to just fix that themselves, they'll go get a prong collar and they'll put it on their dog. Normally not correctly either, you know. I mean, they slide it over their head and it's not adjusted right.
Well, and the prong collar gets used as a
leverage is all they are. They're just, then they're going to hold their dog and they're going to teach your dog not to be reactive.
Yeah.
Well, then the dog gets mad. So then the dog starts getting more aggression on it. And we've had clients come here that they've kept doing that. And one guy with a bicycle, remember him? He showed us the scars on his leg. You can put your finger in the hole where he got bit by his own Rottweiler. And it was because this exact thing happened with
a bicycle.
Person on a bicycle.
Yeah.
He kept on and on and on, and then he finally went to a big old prong collar, and then he was a strong guy. He wasn't no little 80-pound guy. He was a strong guy.
Yeah.
So he could hold his 100, I think that dog weighed 106 pounds, if I'm not mistaken, Rottweiler. And he could hold it, and he did hold it, and he kept holding it.
He
his
kept
leash always tight.
Under control.
Yeah, under control, but
to
not
a degree.
in a good way.
Yeah.
He couldn't get his dog's leash loose.
Yeah.
And so his dog ended up getting aggressive and turned and bit him. And for me, it's not so easy to fix that when it becomes that way and a human gets bit by especially their own dog. Because then they kind of, it's not like a Chihuahua bit him, you know. I mean, he had holes in his legs. I'm not sure if he got them sewed up or not. The way the holes looked, he probably should have. But the way the holes looked, he probably didn't, because they didn't heal up nicely. You know, he actually, yeah, like my scars and stuff, crooked knuckles and stuff. But he didn't, and then he came here for us, and then, you know, that's a whole nother story that'll probably be in our book one day. But anytime you have this reactivity, being a squirrel, bike, person, another dog, if you take your dog by the dog park all the time and all these other dogs are in there playing and going at 9-0, you know, and you're holding your dog back because you don't want him in that, so you keep him away from it. Then what happens? Then he starts getting aggressive because he gets mad because he can't go play.
Escalates.
It does, and he just gets madder, and then the people put the prong collars on him and stuff, if they didn't already. But they don't do all the training.
Or a harness.
Yes, or a harness. And then if the dog pulls backwards, he gets away, and then you're chasing your dog for 2 days trying to catch him, or you see him posted all over Facebook. But all of this stuff, for me, normally, I don't know. It's so hard because people come here, they defend their dog. You know, their dog's not that bad. It's not that bad. It's only bit 5 people and ran away 12 times, but it wouldn't really hurt you. Or their dog, my dog would never bite you. Any dog's capable of biting anybody any given time. You know, it just depends on what's happening. But people try to defend their dog, and instead of, some people don't, you know, some people come in and they're like, man, I got a problem. I need help. I'm having trouble with my dog and I don't understand it and I know it's me. It's like, damn, we could skip a lot of stuff right now.
Yeah.
We'd go right
We're
to the
3
problem.
lessons ahead
you
already.
ain't shit. We can go right to the problem and the root cause.
Gonna save you some money.
Yeah, the root cause, as they say, and we'll go right to it and start working on that.
Yeah.
But it's just so bad to, you know, it's, me, I could let Mari or Bear pull me with a flat collar or a harness up my hill and save energy and not get in trouble. You know what I mean? Because we used to do it with log horses a lot. And people says it's mean, but it depends on who and how, you know. But we would have a bit in their mouth and we'd hold the lines and they'd help pull us up a hill when we was working in logwoods. But they would never pull you if you didn't ask them. If you said, whoa, well, if you had a trained horse, I mean, I was fortunate I had some. But if I'd say, whoa, they stop, you know? Uh-huh. And so people just don't sometimes add it up, you know, what makes sense. If your dog's pulling on a leash, what do I do to get it loose? And then what do I do to keep a loose leash? Because and yesterday at our walk, you know, I feel we had a really nice group walk in town. There wasn't but 4 or 5 people there. But I feel that we had a really good group walk, and all we worked on pretty much was leash work again, because it's like, you know, whenever you get the leash work really good, we're just going to jump off into other things. But I sent everybody home with a little bit of homework to do. And if you have your dog on a loose leash and you let him pull you a little bit, then you're starting to get your dog set up to where he can't pull your leash. And then he's going to pull your leash at the bicycle, the squirrel, the skateboard, the person, the dog, whatever it might be. Where if you really have a loose leash trained dog, the majority of the reactivity will not appear. If it does, you can just correct it and it's over with. It doesn't ever get into the aggression. You follow me?
No, but I'll listen.
You're not agreeing or you're not catching up?
I'll wait to argue.
Thanks. It's not normal, but... So for me, the moral of the story is you have to learn to walk your dog on a loose leash, or you have to teach your dog to pull you on rollerblades, a skateboard, or a bicycle, or a sled, but they cannot pull you if you ask them not to. So argue away.
Maybe what you're talking about is leash reactivity and aggression.
They don't even really have to be on leash.
But if you're saying the fix-all is they can't pull on your leash.
Well, you can't. That won't fix your dog. That will fix your dog on a walk, on a leash, you know. But if your fluffy dog's out in your backyard loose and he's bouncing off the fences after the squirrels or the neighbor's dog who's barking, you have reactivity. If you don't control, you will end up, not always, but sometimes with aggression to the dog next door. And you know, the hardest thing is a lot of these dogs don't want to fight that dog when they get there. They want to play.
Some do.
But yeah. People put the pressure and the pain on them with the prong collars is what gets the aggression going. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, it helps the aggression. Not if you have an aggressive dog, we're not talking about that dog. We're talking about what gets them there. Normally for me, it's
leash aggression. You're talking about what gets a dog to be leash aggressive,
yes,
not general reactivity.
No, because for me, it kind of all comes down to the same thing. And I know through my cow dog world, if you train your dog off leash, now we're going to talk off leash since Bianca's onto that. She can't argue with the leash stuff, so we're going to debate about something else. But
I can.
Yeah, you can argue about anything. You can argue about mid-daylight. But for me, in my cow dog world, it goes back to if you keep your dog with you off leash, and he can't chase squirrels, cows, goats, sheep, chickens, bicyclists, skateboarders, birds, anything else, you stop a lot of the aggression from getting there because you're not fighting with your dog. Does that make sense?
No, I still would wholeheartedly disagree.
So Bianca, where are you at?
If I keep my dog with me 24/7, you're thinking.
I'm not saying never 24/7.
No, I know,
that's not good either.
But what you're saying is that if you don't let your dog leave you and you keep your dog with you, that you can avoid a lot of that. But our clients...
You're still not training your dog.
Saying. Our clients' main problem is the dogs being with them 24/7. So we need to just back up. Are we talking about on-leash reactivity and aggression, or dogs
that's what
with
we were talking about whenever I was talking, and then you wouldn't let me talk about that. You wanted to go into something else.
Okay.
If we're going to go into another type of aggression, which is off-leash, resource guarding, owning people, that's a whole different world.
Okay, so our chapter is on-leash reactivity.
Well, I assumed that's what we were on because
not what I wrote, but
well, it says reactive, aggressive types, human, animals, or both.
Okay.
I tried to talk about the humans, and you stopped me.
Do we have any questions?
Yeah, you have Lake Bay, Labradoodle.
Hi, Valerie. Valerie's used to this.
I think reactive is learned behaviors, aggressive is personality / breeding.
No, bullshit. No,
A dog's personality?
No, you can create aggression. Easy.
Oh, you can create aggression bad
reactivity.
with anything, you know. Look at Chihuahuas.
Yeah.
They're like the
most
worst.
dogs that are aggressive aren't genetically aggressive.
No.
Carol
It's
Impler
humans.
says good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Any kind of dog could be. I've got somebody on Facebook. I wouldn't mind meeting him one day. I've never met him. We communicate once in a while about welding or building a fence or something. But this guy, he has like 3 or 4 or 5 pit bulls. And now he got a one of those dogs that ran into a parked car, Frenchie.
Yeah.
He has one of those, and they're like 2 or 3 of them.
Check for movement out there.
Scout's still where he belongs. He ain't crapping in around with him.
Sitting at the door.
Once he says it's cold. But his dogs behave, and I assume that he might not be able to leash all of his dogs and walk them in town because he lives in the country, and he probably don't take them grocery shopping. You know, he lives out in, I think, desert or something, I don't know. But when they're in the house, they'll be just rolling and chewing on one another. They'll be laying on his lap, and I mean, all the stuff above. But the reason I feel they're not aggressive or get in trouble is because he just stopped that shit right off the start, you know. And you could take, I don't know if you could take any dog, but the majority of the dogs, you could make them aggression. You could make them own you. You could make them
even allowing some behavior, like
on the car.
An example of a really like fluffy, soft dog that isn't like genetically aggressive, but you may allow some behaviors would be like you give a 12-week-old puppy a bone with marrow beef in it. And then your kid crawls over to the dog while it has the marrow beef, and that puppy totally has intent to harm.
Yeah.
If you're getting close to my juicy beef bone. And if you allow that, which obviously you should have structure set up where your baby isn't crawling towards a puppy with a bone. But if you allow that, then you can very easily agree with the dog resource guarding. And it doesn't mean that dog is like born to be a killer.
But for me, you take dogs, and it doesn't matter if it's from Valerie's breeding program or Joe Bob's, you know. Normally the difference is, for me, when we get a puppy comes in from training from Valerie's breeding program, if it has issues, we're like 80% sure that it's human related, you know. There's always a chance it could be genetic somewhere with any dog. Doesn't matter whose dog it is. But if we get a dog from Joe Bob's breeding program that breeds them out behind the shed, you know, and we know there's a lot better chance that dog might
genetically might
have issues.
Yeah,
and so
there's still
kind of what Valerie's saying is so true in some ways, because the breeding program, it's like with the cow dog world. If I get dogs from parents that work really well, if I have a choice, I would like, when I get my puppy from that mom and dad, I would rather wait and see that mom and dad's first litter work and see how good they are before I get mine. Because there's so many times that gene will come from 2 or 3 dogs back, I've been told, you know. So it's not always perfect when you have good dogs. And
I do agree that it's much less likely if the breeder is breeding for temperament.
You bet.
It is. But you can have the perfect puppy genetically, and people can still
screw it up.
Oopsie it.
Yeah, screw it up. Yeah. And you can have a litter. You can have a 6 litter pups, and you might have 5 great puppies and one just a demon from hell.
Yeah,
true. You know, I mean, and we've seen it. I mean, with all different
sometimes
breeds.
The demon from hells have turned out really cool if you know what to do with them.
You bet. If you can put your foot down and train and keep a good attitude about it and have fun with it, you know.
Yeah.
So, but I think we kind of got off of our chapter.
This is just.
We're still.
Over. But we have questions. Let's get the questions.
We're still on the track.
We're not. We're gonna revisit.
Brett,
it's okay. I'm all right. I'm not gonna blow.
Brett, what you got?
Lake Bay says, so then what's the difference between reactive behaviors and aggressive? I've never sent home an aggressive dog, but I've seen them later and they have reactive behaviors like growling and biting.
For sure.
The
And this is the
between-
reason right here. They get babied too much. They don't have no rules. They don't have a lot of structure.
Yeah.
They get held. They get loved. They get petted.
Relationship,
they get fed.
lack of leadership, lack of structures,
Yeah.
lack of boundaries, lack of accountability is
You
what
bet.
most of the time causes it. If it's on leash, which we were talking about, then it has everything to do with you're not leash training your dog to not pull on the leash. And you can have a really excited puppy, and if they're restraining it all the time, that can turn into such heavy frustration.
Or just wrestling all the time with it and just always doing fun stuff and no training on that little puppy. And Bianca shows that here day in and day out, you know. The puppies get a play. There's a puppy in the round pen now with 15 toys running around playing. But when Bianca goes out there, then there's structure put back into the play. It can still have fun, but she's still going to find some way to have some kind of rule implemented into something. And I think that's what people don't do. And it's I don't know, people just want to sit around and hold these little puppies all the time and or let them play and just be chaotic, you know, and not put no rules into that. And Bianca's talking about all that on her podcast with the puppies, so I'm going to skip a lot of the puppy stuff and she can slap people around for that. But so are we going to try to get back on this, or are we just going to avoid it now?
No, we can get back on it. I had written notes for talking about reactivity and aggression, so why don't you just keep on with leash reactivity?
Well, I think we kind of
aggression.
covered leash reactivity already. If you know, right? We cause that by tight leashing dogs, getting dogs into too much excitement before. And we talked about this yesterday or the day before, I think, on a podcast about the dogs that go home from here. The people take them right back to the World War III in their neighborhood before they get any kind of relationship with their dog, and it goes. Some of them go back to aggression, but if the people get a hold of us, I don't know any of them that we haven't fixed.
Yeah,
There's
we've
been
had a few.
there's been a few people we can't fix, you know, but that's
Rarely.
totally the humans' problem, not ours. And but the least aggression normally is caused by restraint of some kind.
Things. Lake Bay said, yes, I think people teach them to be reactive, but blame the dog as being aggressive or something wrong with the breeding.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, they do. And then we know, well, Bianca and I know, and I've known for 30 years that it's a human error.
Yeah.
You know, normally, not saying always, because I mean, but majority of the time, a person backed that screw up and stripped it out and won't work on fixing it. So you got anything else, Brett?
Yeah, Carol had said good morning earlier. She said, I don't want to mess up my sweet boy. Golden Retriever just turned 2. He's a country boy and I'm a suburban mama. He tries to retreat. Is that a completely different topic?
He tries to retreat or retrieve?
Retreat.
Like he's afraid of things? Could you clarify, like he hides from things or tries to back away when on leash?
So, Bianca, I really like your subject today, so we need to move on to some of it. And we'll answer this question if they re-ask it.
She said, yes, scared.
Scared?
Yeah, okay.
Well, for me and it's just, I don't know. I mean, that's a subject that I touch on all the time. We see it all the time. We've got a dog here now that was scared of the world when it come here, and now it's excited to go meet the world. The little long-legged dog.
The puppy, too.
Yeah.
You close the door and that puppy's like, oh my God, it's an earthquake.
Yeah.
Runs and hides. Yeah.
And so a dog, the
Now
hardest...
she's trying to break it.
Yeah. The hardest thing about this 2-year-old golden retriever, I think she's talking about, is normally the person's trying to fix it is babying the dog.
Or trying to
And
socialize
shelter the dog and try to talk the dog into doing something, and the dog gets scared or...
I think I would love to have data on it, but I feel like so many more people, when they have a scared dog, try to socialize it.
They do. They drag it right out in public,
inappropriately.
and they
don't
talk to
shelter
it.
them anymore. In the old days, they would lock them up, but I think less people lock them up now. Not saying you should lock them up. That's definitely not the answer.
Well, you should get help from a professional, and we handle so many dogs like this. Even this little pup yesterday just brought it home, I think. It was scared if I clapped my hands, man, it was gone.
Yeah.
And I just kept playing and clapping my hands and making it fun, and I'd quit and get it over and pet it, and hell, before long, it'd sit there by my feet while I clapped my hands.
Yeah.
And that took all of them.
That's with
2
a
minutes.
puppy, though, not
Yes,
a 2-year-old
but
dog.
the 2-year-old dog, you've got to, for me, and one thing you need to get around is good dogs. That's not going to aggravate it. It's not scared of the world. And sometimes to get the dog with the good dogs, you got to train the dog not to fight the good dogs, you know. But it needs to be socialized, for my world, by a professional, and not in town. We socialize
you
them
can't
in the
socialize it
country.
with people who don't know what to do with the dog
Yeah,
that's afraid, because everyone does things that make it worse.
They're, baby, it's okay. Come here. We're okay. And so, and you get a hold of the, I don't know, not sure who it is, but you can get a hold of the office if you'd like and try to set up a consultation, a meet and greet with us, and we'll try to see if we can come up with a plan to help you. Anything else, Brett?
Yeah, she said I am trying to socialize it. She's trying Home Depot.
Yeah, that's terrible.
Yeah.
It's just
because your dog feels pressured and uncertain, and no offense, not confident in your leadership, and then you get it out where people are going to add more pressure, and it's not secure.
Yeah, it makes it really hard. So
Yeah.
for me, like I said, I recommend just get a hold of the office if you'd like, and we'll try to set up a consultation. And we can go over all the do's and don'ts. You know, you don't have to board and train with us if you don't want to. You don't even have to do lessons with us if you'll pay for a consultation. And
we have a lady that, I wonder if that's the lady the lady I talked to yesterday, her name was Christine. But she's not ready to invest in training, but I told her, man, you need to do a consult just so you can get some
get some kind of ideas of what to
honest
do.
evaluations on
and
where
then follow
you're
us
headed.
on social media, you know, and try to catch up with some of the stuff that we recommend. And so, Brett, you got anything else?
Carol just says I'm new.
Nice to meet you.
Oh, nice to meet you, Carol. Marvin and Bianca.
So, Marvin,
Brett.
why don't you throw out 3 things you shouldn't do? I'm going to say a disclaimer because Marvin has a hard time giving advice out on the internet because he doesn't want it to go south for you if the dog is different than what you're describing.
Yeah.
So, this isn't a one-size-fits-all, but give 3 general things that you would recommend someone who has a dog that's afraid.
Well, the number one thing is get help from somebody that deals with this kind of dog. Follow somebody on social media. Not everybody, but like us on social media, you know.
Yeah.
We don't really do all the training on there to show you how to fix these dogs, but we talk about it enough, you know. But for me, I feel that you want to have somebody to approach. If it's worried about people, if you want somebody to meet your dog, and if it's not going to eat them, I have that person to just sit down and ignore your dog.
Let the dog just exist.
Let the dog sniff them out, come over to
tell
them,
the
and don't
people,
let the
don't
people
talk,
just
don't
reach
don't
out
touch
and try
them.
to touch it.
Yeah.
Just let it hang out with you and it, you know, and just start that way with them. And then let the person put his hand out, let the dog smell it again. If the dog ain't going to bite him, you know, you don't want to do it with a dog that bites. And then for me, a lot of times, if you walk off with your dog on a leash away from that person and have that person walk alongside you and talk to you, anything like that to try to get your dog back. But if you let the person hover over your pup or your dog, it's just going to make your dog worse. If you drag your dog into Walmart, Home Depot, Wilco, wherever, that it doesn't want to go, you're most likely not going to help your dog. You'll make your dog worse. So the thing you want to do is, for me, it works wonders for us, if you can do it, get your dog out with good dogs that are real well socialized in a chaotic place, and let your dog start hanging out with good dogs, and then you can add a person to them or whatever. That works really well.
A lot of times we pet the dogs that we know that are fine, and then that dog the
it
scared
wants to
dog
get
gets
petted.
curious,
Yeah.
and it's like, well, maybe I'll go over there. These
Yes.
other dogs are going over there. There's so many things.
Stuff like that works so well for them, but it's just so hard to do. People's got to work, like got bills and shit to pay. You got to buy groceries, so you got to work. You don't just have time to hang out with your dog. But for me, you should make time, and you can make time, I'm sure. It's just a matter of using the time right. And like you said, you're trying, you're going places, you're doing things, so that
Right.
shows you're trying.
Right.
I just would try different things.
Yeah, sometimes you put in so many hours and effort, but it's things
And you know
that are
that?
not. Yeah, I do. Yeah, I've been there.
Yeah, so, Brett, you got anything else?
Yeah, like Bay said, I'm curious, is there such a thing as too much socialization or just wrong place/time socialization? I'm talking about an adult dog.
There is such thing as too much socialization. Like me, I don't like big crowds. And there's some dogs that are that way. They just don't do well when you got 500 people stomping and screaming and hollering and carrying on. Yes.
Way more dogs have reactivity from over socialization
Yes.
than under socialization.
And you take your dog to places. For me, I guarantee you, and I've done it a time or two, not my dogs, but client dogs. If I go to Wilco with my dog, Fluffy, and somebody wants to pet it, I'm like, hell no, leave my dog alone. We're here for training. I'm nice about it, of course. When I get up to the counter and they want to give Fluffy a treat, I'm like, no, give it to me and I'll give it to him later if you would like. I don't let him feed my dog treats. And I feel that even if you have a scared dog and you drag him through Wilco and then you drag him to the counter and you let him get a treat, if he'll take the treat, which most time if they're that scared they won't, but if they were to take it, all they socialize with is I get drugged for an hour and scared to death, and I get a treat, and then I'm scared 2 seconds later. So you can way over socialize your dog.
Yeah.
Less socializing your dog
And the
in
type
the
of
correct
socialization.
way is a lot better. I took my dogs before the Canby tax sale, my old sport dog, and he followed behind. He came behind it, and he followed me through that whole thing. I didn't have a leash on him. People couldn't believe that he was staying. I mean, there was crowd shoulder to shoulder, and I never lost my dog. He stayed right behind my feet, and people were amazed that he would with all the chaos, but I trained him for the chaos because that's what we did. We cowboyed and done different demonstrations and stuff. And like you with Cash, it really makes a difference when you put those dogs in that situation.
But all I did with Cash, I let a lot of people pet Cash in the right environment, but most of the work I did with Cash was getting him out to exist.
You bet.
Not getting him out to have everyone pet him, not getting him out to have him greet a billion people and dogs. I had him with sound dogs to play. And then when we were out and about, it was like, you're just going to exist. We're just out here doing things, not teaching him when we go out there, we're going to greet 50 billion dogs.
Yes, you're not going to get petted by everybody and hugged by all the dogs. So, you got anything else, Brett?
No, that's it.
Okay, so let's, I don't even know how long we've been on here. 40 minutes. So we're going to talk what is important to rehab that behavior with aggression. Again, I go back to a loose leash if you have an aggressive type dogs, and we've showed that, I don't even know, maybe 1,000 times or more with people. But to rehab that dog, that's aggression, right? On leash? Is it on leash or anywhere?
We're talking about leash reactivity and aggression for this one.
So if you have a dog that is that way, for me, and like I said, we've done it a zillion times, I prefer to take the prong collar off, take the harness off, and start out. I like to start out with a slip leash, always.
Yeah.
And then I will add an e-collar to it. Normally, not always, but a lot of times, I might add the e-collar before the pinch collar.
Because it's less aversive.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I can use my slip leash to bring my dog back. Or I'll use a martingale,
Yeah.
with a long line.
Yeah.
But it all comes back to correcting your dog and not just threatening your dog.
Pressure and release.
Yeah, not just be like, I'm going, and your dog gets tired and falls asleep. I start off instantly with trying to correct my dog in a fair way because it ain't his fault that he's in that situation. It's usually human related. So I'm going to really be fair with my dog and try to get him out of that. Depends on my dog, If he's a 20-pound dog or if he's a 100-pound dog. Sometimes that makes a lot of difference in how we do it, or how I do it, just because of the fact that if you have that 100-pound dog that locks in four-wheel drive and jerks you down, you're in deep trouble. So we will go a different route. But to fix those dogs, if let's say they're dog aggressive, like we'll use Zelda.
Okay.
Huh?
Okay.
Because she was really, really leash aggressive, I guess, to dogs, and dog fought, and she didn't argue. I think, if I'm not mistaken, her owner's probably working right now. But for me, if you go with her, we had her here for over 2 weeks before we got her out with a pack of dogs, and by the time we got her out with a pack of dogs, she wanted to go out with a pack of dogs because she watched all them dogs playing and having fun, and they were controlled. But we made her behave while she watched the dogs. And then I'm not telling everybody to do this because it may not work for you. I don't know. But I think our disclaimers all over these videos and talk right about don't do what we said we did. I mean, get a hold of a professional trainer or whatever. But when it come to Zelda, yesterday's the first time we put her out with dogs, and she was super stoked to be out with dogs. And then her owner came in, and that was a little bit different when her owner got here. I put a long line on Zelda and made sure she behaved. But it's just really hard for people to understand how to get your dog from the leash aggression to not being leash aggressive. And it goes back to somehow you've got to, I don't know if a dog knows how to heel properly on leash, off leash. It's a lot easier to address the aggression because you can work with it with that. But I think that it's possible to still have a loose leash dog healing perfectly, that if you turn him loose, he's going to go attack.
Or you can have a loose leash dog. What part of the reason we have a hard time giving advice over the internet is that sometimes people say they have a leash aggressive dog, but they don't. They have a dog that owns them, and when things get near them,
they bite.
So if we tell you, get your leash loose, and then things are fine and dandy, or you get the idea that things are fine and dandy, sometimes the tight leash is making things worse, and it is always better to have a loose leash, but sometimes your problem is the dog being within close proximity to you because it views you as their property.
And that's exactly, if you have a reactive, aggressive dog on leash, normally they go out there and try to cause trouble. But like you're saying, if the dog's staying by you perfectly nice on loose leash, but then when somebody or something gets too close, they strike.
Right.
That's a dog that is possessive of you. They own you, or they own your car or truck or house or sidewalk or whatever it is.
And sometimes that's the possession of the owner is what's causing the reactivity.
It is.
They don't want shit near you.
Yes, they just own you.
Bikes, dogs, squirrels, they're like, get away, I own this.
Husbands or wives.
Yeah, true.
Kids, grandkids. I mean, we've seen it all. And
I would say owning territory, people, places, or things is the most common aggression cases we get. They own the house, they own the car, they own the person. Most commonly, they own the person.
Here a while back, somebody told me to grab the dog food out of the back floorboard of their car, and stupid ass me. Man, I don't know. I'm hoping that
because
the dog's just a sweetheart. He was just sitting there on the front seat. Hey, Marvin, come and get me. Let's go.
Don't know the dog owns the car.
Holy shit!
They don't have any idea until they come and they learn.
I opened that door and reached in, and that dog went cujo.
That's like not
luckily,
very smart.
Oh, I know, but it was a really nice dog. They said. And luckily it was in the front seat, and it might have been restrained in the passenger seat or something, but it was trying to eat the window and the door in the front of the car to get to me. It's like, holy shit, how stupid am I? And
I agree.
Yeah. Once Bianca agrees with me. But I don't know how many thousand times I've done in my life, been around dogs like that, and I was stupid in a no stupid zone. Luckily it wasn't a Rottweiler, and he came over
Scout, go load up.
He's probably got to go bathroom. So, the relationship with your dog and why it matters. Is that like you want your dog to accept you as a leader? And why it matters?
I don't know.
Well, you asked a question that don't really, it don't follow my answering category. But
None of my notes follow your answering category.
so your relationship with your dog and why it matters. And I was just talking, I got glue on me from this morning. I was just talking to somebody about this exact thing yesterday, where Bear and Mari don't need to be in my pocket to be hugged and petted, but they like it if I take the time to do it. And Mari will come to me more than Bear and run up into me and want to know if I want to pet her or not, you know. And at the same time, they will go to someone else and let them pet them.
Yeah.
I feel if we have, and if you ever done the, like Mari, she could tell you so much about people.
Oh, yeah.
Because, you know, there's been like 2 or 3 people that she just does not like.
Yeah.
She wolf at them and like back away from them, won't let them get close to her. And those people are really hard sometimes to fix.
Yeah.
Because they're just like
We're not trying to fix
out
people.
there in
It's
the
hard to
la
get
la
them
world.
to change.
Is that not the same difference?
I mean, yeah, it's different.
Okay, we're trying to get people to change and be a better leader for their
I
dog.
just don't think it's very nice to say fix because then you're saying people are broke. You know?
I fix my truck before it breaks. If I know my tires is getting bad, I go put new ones on
Are
before they
you
blow up.
comparing your truck to human beings?
I always compare people to dogs and horses and cows and everything else, Bianca. Yeah. So I think that the relationship with you and your dog and why it matters, or why I would say why it's so important, is if you're a leader for your dog and your dog accepts you as a leader, your dog could have so much more freedom in life.
Yeah.
And you can have so much more freedom of what you can go do with your dog.
Yeah.
But if you have that dog that's least reactive, people reactive, owns you, real estate, whatever, you're really limited to what you can do with that dog.
Yeah, most everything comes back to what your relationship with your dog
Yes.
is like. Are you a pushover? Do you allow everything? Do you spoil? Do you have rules? Do you stick to the rules? Do you have boundaries? Do you stick to the boundaries? Do you have good boundaries? Are you codependent? Can you not be away from your dog?
I'm going to drink some coffee while you go through your list. It all comes back to, for me, if you're a good leader for your dog, alpha, right? You know what they call it, alpha?
No.
No, it is.
No.
I've seen it on the internet and I know I'm right.
Marvin.
If you're a good leader for your dog, if you're the leader, not alpha, because I guess that's not terminology we use now, but if you're the leader for your pack of dogs and you don't allow no dog to be a leader in the pack, then you could have a lot better pack and a lot bigger pack and a lot more breeds in your pack. Do you agree?
Yeah, I the only reason that I like it, words don't always matter,
Nah.
but I feel like alpha kind of makes it sound like you need to be some sort of like dominant badass, and that's not really
See,
true
that's
at
the
all.
new world, the old world I live in. You're the alpha.
Okay.
I never said I was an alpha with my dog world, you know?
I know.
Even all my dog training, I just said you had to be the leader. And you got to be the leader of your pack, or else some other dog in your pack will take leadership and you have unstable pack.
Yeah.
So you've got to be the leader. So the relationship with your pack, with your dog.
Or your pack.
Yeah.
Maybe you have more.
Bianca always does. I think that for me, if you're a good leader, you can have a great pack of dogs.
What's a good leader?
Your dogs don't have gray area to run around in.
Clear instruction.
But you've got
Clear
to
right and wrong.
You've got to let your dog know when he's right, and you've got to let him know when he's wrong. And a reward for being right to me is just like good boy or good girl, or
Praise.
yeah, pet them on the head. Or,
Meaningful praise.
yeah, I don't never give my dog food for being good. I give him food or treat because I want to.
Yeah, yeah.
But there's not a whole lot of dogs I feel that I've seen that if you train on them a little bit, and if their tail's just neutral, you know, and you pet them, good boy, their tail just starts going. They're like, oh, I done something good, you know. People don't understand that, I think, a lot of times. And
This morning, that puppy that's afraid, it doesn't come out of the crate. It like wants to stay in there where it's cozy, you know. And I was like, come on, puppy. And Brett said, I can hear its tail because its tail was like, oh, man, I really want to do it, but I'm scared.
Yeah. It makes it fun how much difference it makes. But if you're in the black and white, no gray on your dog for a leader, it makes being a leader a lot easier to be there. If you're one of those people that don't make me count to 3, then you're going to have some gray area, and your dog's not going to understand it.
Yeah.
So how to get them back out around humans and dogs? Well, we touched on this a lot earlier, and even with the lady with that goes to Home Depot.
Yeah.
For me, and we get a lot of these dogs like this from humans, you know, from clients. I mean, not humans, but from clients. And then Kay said the other day we'd had our 54th dog from the shelter.
Yeah.
And I think we've had 2 or 3 since then. So,
Yeah.
But there's so many of those dogs that come here, they're scared to death of the world. And then there's some of the dogs that come here that's been dog fighting, you know.
Yeah.
And for us, it always comes back to we train on the dogs, we teach the dogs, and then we try to put the dogs with our good dogs. And everybody don't do it. Some people may not have the good dogs to put them with, you know, or don't want to own a dog. I don't know, whatever the case is. But we try to get them out with stable dogs. We keep handling them, and then we eventually will take them to town and train on them in town. And,
Right.
We'll get them out around other people. And we've got bicycles around here. Bianca's got one in the round pen, and there's a skateboard in there, and Mariah's old bicycle's in the back stall. And I mean, we've got all kinds of stuff around this property, cows and horses and chickens. And so the dogs get around a lot of different things while they're here. And when they're around other dogs that are around that environment that are stable, I feel it always helps that dog to be stable. And then we've got to get the person who owns the dog to step up into the leadership role a little bit more. So, Brett, you got anything?
No, we don't.
Bianca, did I cover your list good enough?
Yeah.
I know you're not just agreeing, so you must be believing I did. You look like you have doubt on your face, but...
No.
So I guess we'll just sign off if we don't have nothing left.
No stories, nothing? That's it?
Huh?
You have no stories, nothing? That's it?
Bianca, I'm trying to, what am I trying to do?
Focus.
Focus.
Yeah.
I can't focus, but I'm trying.
Do we have any more comments?
Nope.
Okay. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks a lot. Everybody have a great day.